Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe where we help and heal one day at a time. We're going to talk about what really goes on inside the narcissistic mind because sometimes it gets really confusing because we see them doing things for us or doing things for the family or coworkers. Um, Sometimes they, intermittently give us love bombing to try to correct the situation. And it's always for an ulterior motive. They're very calculating. There's reasons why they do things. Sometimes out of obligation, they will do certain things, take the kids to school, or we ask them to take us to the doctors. Sometimes they'll do it. We think it's because they love us, but they build up a resentment because it's taking away time from what they want to do. They're completely obsessed with fulfilling their needs. So sometimes it is for the adoration, but everything is about their needs, whether it's the need to be adored or to have somebody spend time with them so they don't have to think about the inner pain that they're going through. Just like we're going through inner pain, they have this constant inner pain that they try to avoid. They often stay busy, they often cause chaos. The chaos gives them an adrenaline rush, whether it's positive or negative, it's that adrenaline rush. And the most confusing part is their actions don't meet up with their heart. Their words don't meet up with their heart. Um, they will portray this false image. It's the image that they want instead of what they have. So if they lied to you about something, that's not what they want. Let's say they lied about cheating. They don't want to have the life with cheating. They enjoy what they got out of the cheating. Same thing with other things in life. It's they'll lie to have whatever their image of the perfect life is. At all costs, they will lie, they will manipulate, they will control. Um, if you set boundaries, they might agree to them because they like to appease us. That's where the false futures come in. And it's hard to understand because in the beginning, they were willing to do all these things. But inside their mind is not to love us, it's to get their needs fulfilled. And that's where it gets confusing because we're trying to have a two-way street, a little give and take. We're caught up in the beauty of the love bombing, how perfect it seems. And that's basically the narcissist telling you, this is the perfect life I want. This is the perfection in the person that I want. I'm going to do everything to make you happy, to 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 see what your life is all about. And then once they come into our lives, they start resenting that whether they didn't have that growing up or they can't relate to it or they start getting jealous or they just want to knock us down. And they're at a different comfort level than we are. We think love is warm and fuzzy. They see love as a threat. And it is hard to comprehend that because love is beautiful, but it's outside their comfort zone. So even though they created this perfect life, they're uncomfortable in it. And it gets confusing because it's almost like they're grasping at straws. Like they'll do things the right way to have this life that they want, but they also feel like they don't deserve it. So it leaves them empty inside. Like I have this beautiful life. I know my ex and I, every time we got along, I always told my friends we're gonna break up, and they're like, "But you guys are getting along," and I'm like, "I know exactly." When we came closer to our wedding date, he backed out of it. We had lived together. He's the one that proposed. I didn't. They freak out like this perfect life is about to happen because there's no new issues. And I was with him, I don't know, about a decade, and there's no new issues. It's not like we had a fight. Things were going along great. But once they're like in that mode, and I did a video where I said that a lot of times, if like to have NPD, you have to be diagnosed. You have to have it affect your life in some way, whether it's divorce, loss of a job. So everybody, not everybody, the people that have narcissistic traits are probably narcissists, but they will not get diagnosed. Also, often they don't go into treatment. If they do go into treatment, they lie. So it's really hard. They turn on the charm. So the therapist has a hard time even diagnosing them. So technically, it's about 20, 25% of the population now uh, has NPD. They're just not diagnosed because of that one little thing. Either they didn't go see a therapist, they've tricked them, or they're functioning. It didn't affect their life yet. They haven't gone through a divorce or some catastrophic event in their life. So they kind of slip away from that diagnosis, even though they meet every criteria. So I did something on the divorces that happen. A lot of times it's the women that initiate it. Most narcissists are men. There are females, but more women are bipolar, and then men are more tending to be narcissistic. And the divorce rate, I had mentioned that if you take 25% of the population is narcissistic, and then you have 25%, the other half of that marriage, so that's 50%, okay? And these women initiate it, so that's like 25% gone. And then you had the normal people that don't have these personality disorders. So you have 75% of the normal population, and the female leaves because she had enough of it. Sometimes the men do. They'll leave out of, you know, they just want to get onto that new supply. Or sometimes they don't want to give up the supply they're with. And it's really odd what they do is they treat us so bad. And a lot of times it's because they don't want to lose us. Maybe in their heart they feel like they can't, they don't deserve us. So they push us away because they know that they don't deserve us. But they need that ego stroke, like, I'm not going to leave you no matter how hard you are on me. I'm not going to leave. It's kind of like their twisted way of, instead of saying, can you spend some time with me? Or, you've been a little distant lately. Do you still love me? Communicating through it. They push us away to see how we react, because they need that chaos to feel loved. And that's a crazy thing. Why not just spend time with the person? And they will always try to one up us. The silent treatment, it's a control thing. Like, I want you to do things my way. So they'll give us a silent treatment as a punishment instead of working through it or accepting. We might promise, okay, sorry, I understand your point. Next time I won't do that. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. But inside their mind is really twisted. They're stuck at a juvenile state. Their coping skills haven't progressed. Their mental capability on how to process relationships, how to communicate correctly. They're just so into protecting their safe spot, and to get the supply, the adrenaline rush, whatever it is that fills their need. So they do things the right way sometimes, but I think the most hurtful things that they do are creating a false future, confusion. They don't answer questions straight. When you try to communicate, where you're like, no, I need a straight answer, they either bring it back on us, make us feel like crap for even asking or not trusting them, or what's wrong with you? Why can't you understand it? And they really do have a hard time understanding. Because, like with my ex, I blew his phone up. We're still talking. And like he can't get it. He's finally doing better. We're not together, but he's finally like at least being cordial, where it's like, just this is how you maintain a relationship. And even last time I talked to him, my questions weren't answered. I even had to call him back. I even tried to play it off like, fun and happy, like, oh, you drive me crazy, this is all I'm trying to say, and just answer it and just trying to be fun. And it's like kind of exhausting for us, where we're like, how do we communicate the right way? Because you don't want to be like meek and like, I'm sorry, like, if you would, if you don't mind, and it really hurt my heart, because I hate that. But they also like, I blew his phone up like crazy, but he still kept those trophy messages. He read them. He listened to hours of me crying. He didn't react to me crying, but for him to listen to all that stuff, it was fuel to his ego. And he craved it. He could have blocked me. He could have sent me a text like, quit it, don't call anymore. But we're talking years of craziness, but that's where the crazy making is. You know, him and I, we're supposed to have a future together, and then all of a sudden you're ghosted. It's like, now I really don't know if you're dead. And their lack of empathy is so extreme to where you're sitting there crying hysterical, saying, I'm sorry if I'm blowing your phone up too much. You're angry at me. I'll go. But I feel like you might be dead. And I love you. This is how much it hurts for me to not even know. You know, are we talking? Are we not? If not, that's fine. But that's how deep the lack of empathy goes. They don't get it. I've tried to communicate every way possible. And he was like, I get your messages. I'm like, well, I don't know that because you don't reply to them. And even everything I said, they don't respond to it. So, okay, great. You know, you got my messages. I don't know you got them or listened to them. Um, and I just cried my eyes out, shared my soul for hours on end, for weeks on end, and that's what you get. You don't have to say it 100 different ways, but then when you do try to talk to them, they're like I don't understand it. And he's even said, I love different than different other people do. He knows there's something different about his thought process. So no matter how hard he tries, um, he still can't get it. Even after years of the way I'm explaining things in so many different ways and how it makes me feel, you know, because you might not know how I make how it makes me feel, but if I tell you this hurts me or it confuses me, like I try to make it easy. I've even told him, you know, you have a safe way out. Just send me a text. You know, I just want to know you're not dead. Um, so, you know, I'm trying to make it super easy, just like I'm sure you guys have, where it's like I'm trying not to be confrontational. I'm trying not to put pressure on. Of course, I'd prefer a phone message, but we make it so easy for them. And they still don't care. Like crying for hours on end, days on end, just send a text. And they don't care. It's time out of their day. It's going to give up their supply on hearing how wonderful they are, how loved they are, even though they're not with us. Um, and they're just cold. They're cold unless it serves their needs. He moved on with a new supply, so he had that going on. So why give up the ego strokes? You know, why give that up? He decided to just, you know, let me cry. And as soon as I was about to say goodbye, that's when you get the Hoover. They reel you back in. Did he necessarily want to be with me? He at least wanted the supply from me. And it gets really confusing, really exhausting. And that's where it drains your soul. Because even after all those years of trying to just figure out how we can have a conversation, like this was 2 phone calls ago. I'm like, I'm so sick of just trying to make this work. Like to just talk as friends. Um, it's frustrating. And, you know, maybe he at this time doesn't want to lose the supply of the friendship. But he'll drop me at the drop of a hat. I have no doubt. So I've changed my mental state on that. And we'll see how long it lasts to be friends with somebody like this because he is trying. He is trying. But even just the last phone call, you know, the abuse never stops. The lack of empathy never stops. The connection on how to be cordial to each other, you know, um, you know, they don't get it. They're only concerned about what they get. Um, and it's kind of interesting, like talking to them, how much they ask. Like I told them about the YouTube channel, kind of a little scared about it because I don't want him finding out about it. But I've said it a couple times like a dummy. They say even a fish wouldn't get caught if it kept its mouth shut. But anyways, so he's never once asked what it was about. But I told him I was having lunch today with a friend, and of course he had to ask what that was about, kind of seeing what I'm up to. But as far as the, you know, hopefully this channel will grow. Maybe this is a career thing. He's not even asking what it's about. He said, "Oh, that's great," kind of like off the cuff kind of response. That there's no desire to get to know me unless it has something to do with his supply. He'll ask, "Oh, who are you having lunch with?" But he won't ask after I mentioned several times, which I shouldn't, but I mentioned the YouTube, and not once did he ask what it was about. All my other friends do. It's kind of weird. So they don't try to get to know us unless it's for a tool in their toolbox to break away at our soul. So like and subscribe. Hope that helped, and I'll see you soon.